this is a place where people was dehumanized. That was the first time as a human being I ever felt like a dog, chained to a wall in a dark room for days, being beat on. So now I sit back. I even, like, my daughter got a dog right now. I hate to see a dog in a cage. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's horrible, man. It's horrible. So I know men who died as a child in that room. Your youth was taken away. I died as a child, man, in that room. You took that away, man. There is no difference between what Hitler and his people did to Jews than what these people is doing to us in our communities. There's no difference. It's generations. You done messed up 4 generations in my family. My mother, me, my child, and my grandchild. That's 4 generations. Like with my brother, they held him and beat him until he bled out his mouth. You know what I mean? They brought him and showed him me beat up and asked him, did he want to be next? And once he seen that, that in and of itself was traumatizing because I'm his big brother. So, and he's always known me to be, that guy that, protected him and try my best to protect him and my younger siblings. So, after seeing that, they took him and beat him until he confessed. So for years, man, we went without being heard. And sadly to say, I'm gonna be honest. In the beginning, your family have this perception of the police, right? Family members who feel, hey, listen, I'm on the right side of the law, and anything that the police say is right? So just imagine being a young kid, and your family perception of the police is that the police is not going to lie and place no murder on you. So outside of trying to get the world to see that myself and my brother was innocent, here's my family. My family don't believe it. You see what I'm saying? So for 26, you have family members that supported us, my mother, grandmother, and siblings and child. But the reality is that you don't have anybody in a place like that, and being taken away for so many years. You know what I mean? So it's trauma. You know what I mean? It's trauma. Still to this day, I really don't like talking about it because it brings up so many emotions. So for so many years, you suppress it so you won't have to talk about it. Because every time you talk about it, it brings emotions, it brings a whole lot of things back. So for years, you try your best to just not only suppress it, but bury it, man. Because if you bring it up and if you relive, then you'll find yourself caught in it. And you find a lot of people that can deal with it you go to the law library, you study, and a lot of people deal with different ways. But I found out how to deal with it when I began to write. So in the process of me writing, when I got locked up at the age of 18. Got locked up in March 30th, 1994, and I was just released April 16, 2020. Prior to me being locked up at the age of 18, I was living in the street probably for about 5-6 years. Unbeknownst to me, I dropped out at 6th grade. So when I got to prison, I couldn't read or write. So the good part about it is, and I'm not saying prison was good. What I'm saying was the experience. In the experience, I was allowed to be able to sit down and get my GED and go to school and get my associate's degree and become an advocate with speaking towards injustice. And I actually became a hell of a spoken word artist in prison. That's what I'm known for in prison, like doing spoken words. So the silver lining in that, in the sickness and the mind state of bad guys, the silver lining in that was that I was able to finally find who the hell I was. And that's sad. I would say my life often feels like I was birthed in a storm and raised with an eye of Katrina. And even though she was my alibi, the jury never seen her. So Katrina Bones was the young lady I was with, whom house I was over when the police kicked the door in and locked me up. And at trial, my attorney told me that he had reached out to her and that she didn't want to testify. But I found out 20 some odd years later that my attorney never reached out to her. My life often feels like I was birthed in a storm and raised within the eye of Katrina. And even though she was my alibi, the jury never seen her. So my story was unbelievable, like her disaster was to FEMA. But like Bush, I acted late to my own natural disaster. But now that I know the relevance of life, I gotta move faster. Because I refuse to be a fool stuck in a man box, continuously caught in traditional cliches that pulls me back into its clutch. So now I sit back to analyze what really makes me tick. Is it my environment or some hidden psychological disposition that I just can't seem to grip? And every time that I do feel I got an answer, the shit seems to slip. I'm fueled to my frustration. When my mother steady saying, just be patient, Reggie. So I hold on to that patience, praying not to become a complacent institutional patient who lose sight of his faith in how it was created. But I swear to you it was hard, especially being in that place where my close friends' faces daily faded, like the fades of the high top fade and the ball blend going in the waves. And despite me being forced to walk in deuces, I made the conscious effort to stay away from losers, because honestly, they had already been beat by that mental beast. And plus, from a distance, I'm easily associated to the man standing next to me. And as simple as it may seem to be, the theory of individuality has always been a complex perception to conceive, especially when traditionally our thoughts, feelings, and dreams is associated to another person's beliefs. Astonishing in a sense, but I swear to you, ever since Mama Joe gave that metaphorical theory of a family being a fist, man, I've been clenched ever since. And now I'm trying to save lives, instead of continuously rationalizing and disguising lies to the same guys whose hands I shake, but show another face after we break from our embrace, and that ain't love. Plus, society fears that we're too disattached to be pulled back, and the way we act truly shows that scientists' theories on the evolution of blacks is definitely a fact, so we gotta have each other backs, regardless to whatever takes place. And just in case you seem to one day lose your faith, it's the face of a real man standing next to you, waiting to give you aid. Lift you up, look you in your eyes and tell you that you're great, and how you're the genetic product of particles spread amongst these sands. But it's when you've fallen with your back against the wall that you realize the strength of a true man. So rise above your circumstance and really try to understand that there were many before you who didn't get the chance to simply reflect and change.